We got a great Monday night revenge game this week. We got two Monday night games this week. One of them is the return matchup, the repeat matchup, if you will, of these two teams. Last year, of course, the Commanders with the Hail Mary beating the Bears in one of the most memorable moments of the entire NFL season. Caleb and the new look Bears offense hoping to even the score this week. So Dan, this one I think is fascinating.
Oh, totally.
Right? It's so much about the quarterbacks and these two guys and Jayden. How do you see this as these two young quarterbacks come into their own?
Yeah, I look at all the pressure on Caleb Williams in Chicago. One, you're coming off of the bye. The last two times Ben Johnson has come off the bye, over 1,000 yards and 88 points. So your preparation attacking a defense. Two, you've got the recipe offensively to attack Washington's defense. Your tight ends and your backs as pass catchers. Washington defensively is in a little bit of a tough spot because they would prefer to play man, but they got people on their defense that you can attack if you're Chicago with those skill position players, tight ends and backs, and they don't really want to play zone. So if you're Chicago, this is massive advantage for you, at least offensively. And then defensively, it's really about stopping this no-huddle offense in Washington. Jayden looked sensational last week coming back from injury. But that's a big challenge because of Deebo Samuel's usage in this offense. It stretches you both horizontally and then with their 4x1 stuff vertically. But I look at this as all the pressure on Chicago to say we're actually going to matter this season.
Jeffy, what are you hearing out of these two teams this point of the season?
I think with Washington's coming off a big win, and Jayden Daniels is back, and he looked great. But Chicago, this was the spot last year where the Bears' season was ruined. They never recovered from playing the game in Washington and the Hail Mary they lost. The whole coaching staff got fired. The organization is where it is today because of the game that it played in Washington last year. That has to be on everybody's mind going into Monday night's game to go meet this team that you had beat last year until you didn't, and it blew up everything, and their season changed right here. What was their record from this point on? It was terrible.
They didn't win another game until like the very, very end. They won one meaningless game. Quickly, what do you make of this Jayden versus Caleb?
I think the Commanders as a whole has become a better team than the Bears. The Bears have. Jayden Daniels is the first quarterback to rush for 1,000, or the fastest quarterback to rush for 1,000 yards. He did it in 20 games, and he's looked like himself more than ever in this past week. Earlier in the season, I thought just watching him and then him having an injury later in the Packers game, I was like, well, was he injured before? That was kind of my thought process. Watching him come back after a couple of weeks off, I think he looks a lot better. He looks more like himself. That's why I like the Commanders.
And I know Taylor will be curious about this. Terry McLaurin's going to have a chance to play on Monday night.
That's a big. I texted you about fantasy, and I appreciate you bringing that up.
Final word, Compton, on this game.
DC is going to be on fire. Yeah, do they have the question marks on defense? Yes, but they do have a run defense. They can pressure the quarterback. They are the number one rushing team in the league right now. I think Chicago's going to struggle. And again, Chicago, they haven't really beat anybody worthwhile on defense between the Dallas and the Raiders. I love Washington here.
Have we call straight out of Compton? Will's got takes. Taylor's got reaction. Will, give me the first one from the AFC East.
The New England Patriots have a legitimate shot of winning the AFC East.
This was something that Will Compton said to me on the plane on the way here to New York, and I chuckled at him. I laughed at him. We end up looking at the schedule. Who do you have to beat in the AFC East? You have to beat the Bills. They already did that in Buffalo. Now they've got the Titans, the Saints, and the Browns next. That is one of the big wins of being bad the year before. Your schedule's much easier. If you've already beat the Bills once at home, why not do it again?
I mean, they would be a year ahead of schedule, right?
A year ahead of schedule. But Greeny, yes, they definitely have the coach.
Yeah.
You see the way this team is responding when they go out and get that emotional win. Vrabel, Diggs, running to the locker room, the leadership that's happening. We've been on those teams. We know what it looks like. They're feeling it right now.
Yeah. Drake May is playing outstanding. I'm not sure if his alma mater has noticed, but they're playing extremely well. Okay. Well, give me another one. Stay in that division.
Mike McDaniels is coaching for his job this weekend.
It is essentially what the conversation has kind of been all year long as we've been on Get Up. A couple of weeks ago, they're playing the Buffalo Bills on Thursday Night Football. We say after that week, do the Miami Dolphins, do they have a coach?
Right.
They have a competitive game against them.
Yeah.
They win against the Jets, and then they blow a 17-0 lead last week. This is one of those games where back into Mike McDaniels, all the quirks, everything is getting a little old to us. Now it's time to see if that coaching carousel is going to take place.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I kind of like him against the Chargers this weekend.
You like the
Kinda like 'em.
Dolphins?
I kind of like the
Joel
Dolphins.
coming back possibly?
Against
I like
the
the Dolphins.
banged-up Chargers. All right, give me one more tonight. Eagles at Giants.
This is it. A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley are going to combine for 225-plus yards and 3 touchdowns tonight.
Last time they played, they had 276 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Picture this, Greeny. Saquon Barkley sits there with some bifocals on the end of his nose with a yellow pad and a pen while he listens to Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown go over their couples therapy session. It's might have what needed to happen. It took maybe an hour too long. I don't know what his rates are, but I think it's going to pay off in a big way for them today.
So they had what he's talking about is the players' meeting that those 3 stars had this week.
Just those 3. Usually it's all 53 guys.
Right.
5 guys are saying the same thing. It's really just them 3 being like, what the hell are we going to do?
They hit the group chat. Let's get the boys together. They're sitting
That's
down.
all Saquon.
They've got a short week. They got to get it figured out. Their offensive coordinator, Kevin Patullo, has been the center of a lot of the conversation. Here's what he had to say about his team's offense.
We just really got to just focus on staying ahead of the sticks and kind of advancing it forward. And we've done a good job. We just got to keep progressing and working through this. Everybody's into it. Everybody's being super detailed on what they need to do. We just got to keep pushing it because when we've done what we need to do, we've moved the ball extremely well at a high rate. So we just got to continue to do that.
Okay, so the only thing about that is it's not true. The Eagles' offense has not been moving the ball at all. I mean, it's just not what's happening here. They are 30th this year in total offense. They are 31st in passing offense. Only the Titans, who have the rookie quarterback Cam Ward, have passed for fewer yards per game than the Eagles have, and we have a bunch of other stats we could show you to make the point we thought that one would do enough. So, Dan, I put you on the case here. You weren't with us on Monday again. You had the game, so we talked at great length about the Eagles and what's right and what's wrong and what they can do to get it fixed. And they're doing it all in a short week. What do you have?
Well, you can't be simple and predictable, and that's where they are offensively. You can be simple, but you got to make it confusing to defenses. I'd say this, the number one starting point for me is that they are in the shotgun basically every snap. Jalen Hurts has taken 6 snaps underneath the center, and so there at times you can get tells. See how far Saquon Barkley is behind Jalen Hurts? When he's there, it's one of 2 things. They're either running the football or they're running this little slip RPO where they go and ball fake it, and then they're trying to get a pick from up top and leak somebody into the flat. Now, there's times when it has success, and there's times when I think defenses get an understanding of it. You see how his toes are about at the back heel of Jalen Hurts. Again, I think that there's more than not, indicators that this is going to be either that downhill run or that little RPO that they run. And this ball's handed off to Saquon Barkley. Now, if you go to where Saquon's a little bit more attached at the hip, if you watch where his toes are almost equivalent to Jalen Hurts, that's more often than not going to be a pass for this offense. Now, it's not 100%. It's not a black and white guarantee. But this is the downside to living in the gun. And this isn't a war on shotgun. But I'll reiterate, they've been underneath the center 6 times this year if you take away the tush push. So when you live in the gun like that, there's defenses watching you and they're gathering tells of, is it likely a pass? Now, the reason this matters is on 1st and 2nd down. You know this. Defenses are gathering information. Hey, when Saquon's a little bit more attached to the hip, we can be anticipating pass. When he's got that depth, we're thinking run. We're thinking RPO. I think that's another layer that's hurting this offense.
It's outstanding tape, and it gives you something to watch for as you get set to watch the game tonight. I want to point out one number here. Hembo put together a bunch of unbelievable stats, but C18 is my particular favorite one. The reason the Eagles won the Super Bowl last year is because Saquon Barkley provided them the best thing you can have in the NFL. Explosive plays with no risk.